Yeah, Seaside's own house band. Good morning, everybody. Welcome, welcome for everybody tuning in and joining us. Thank you for joining us here at Seaside Center for Spiritual Living. I'm going to get us started this morning with a song. Thank you very much. Thank you, thank you. Good morning.
Yes, good morning. And good morning, Seaside.
Yes.
What a joy it is to be with you. And it is a thriving spiritual community, inspiring people to live their divinity. How we doing? You feeling inspired?
That's
right. I know you inspired me this morning. Beautiful, beautiful song.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Did you write that one?
I did. I wrote that one.
Yeah,
just for Seaside.
Wow, I'm getting pretty good. Yeah, you seem to be writing them all these days.
Thank you. I'm trying.
Got some free time?
I do. Well, sort of.
You were busier this week.
I was. I did a live stream, with Peter Sprague this past Thursday. It was a Stevie Wonder.
Fabulous. Callie and I watched that.
Yeah, thank you for watching. It was.
We had hundreds of people on it.
Yeah, it was great. It was just, and Peter Sprague has, first of all, Stevie already has amazing songs to begin with.
He does, huh? Oh,
yeah, Stevie Wonder. You may have heard a couple, right?
Yeah.
But and then of course Peter, our very own San Diego Jim, he's. His arrangements of Stevie's songs were just incredible. So it was an honor to be able to be a part of that.
And they can go back and watch it, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's good.
Yep.
And I know half the proceeds went to Black Lives Matter.
That's right.
So,
that's right.
That's great. Thank you for doing that.
Thanks for watching.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'll tell you what, we are taking this deeper, whether we are home or wherever we may be. But before we go deeper, I just want to give this little pitch, and that is, tell your friends, tell your family to tune in to this right now. Call them up, text them, share this message, and let them know that Seaside is going live this morning with inspirational thoughts from the movie The Greatest Showman. And it is a message about dreaming and acceptance and inclusivity. It's a powerful message this morning. So if you love somebody dearly, share with them this spiritual food. It will be great. And we're going to move to that deeper place that connects us all in the heart and the soul and spirit and the consciousness. I mean, we know you're in this room. The bodies may not be here, but the consciousness is. I can feel your presence. It is alive. It is dynamic. It is inspiration. So go ahead, let your friends know as I invite to the stage our wonderful Reverend here, and that is the Reverend Debbie McDonald. Taking us a little bit deeper. Yes.
Oh, good morning. Thank you. It's good to be here. It's good to be back with you. And as Dr. Christian said, we'll set the intention for our service this morning with prayer and some silence. And I'll gong the bells, and then we'll close up with Rebecca anchoring us in song once more. So I invite you to just settle in to where you are. The light, the candle represents the light. just feeling the one power, the one presence, the one love, the one light, knowing that that is all that there is only one expressing in, through, and as all things. And I know that this divine one, this divine love moves through each and every individual on our stage today, each and every individual in their family room or living room or wherever they might be watching. I know that we are absolutely connected, that there is no place that God is not. And I know for today's service that it unfolds perfectly in divine order, that all that needs to be said is said, that there's an absolute download that moves in, through, and as Dr. Christian. Knowing that our musicians are absolutely divinely guided and divinely inspired. That Spirit moves through our band and through our beautiful guest artist, Margaret Owens, and our very own Rebecca Jade. Knowing that each one is divinely inspired. I know that the words that flow through Dr. Christian are inspirational, motivational, and touch the hearts and souls of all those that are seeking that divine connection, that deeper connection to the divine. It's with a heart full of gratitude for all that is unfolding this morning that I just let it be.
Let the power of love fulfill you. Breathe out. Let the troubles of life be gone. Release all the worries you have for tomorrow. Look within. Let's begin as one. Let the power of love fulfill you. Breathe out. Let the troubles of life be gone. Release all the worries you have for tomorrow. Look within. Let's begin as one.
And we are one. Thank you, Rebecca. Thank you. It feels so wonderful to just settle down, when we get here from the running around of the morning to be here with you, fully present. Oh, it is good to be back. I enjoyed some wonderful weeks on vacation with my family, and it's good to be back at Seaside. It's good to be back here with you. I watched you when I was away. It's kind of fun to watch, isn't it? We have just a few things I want to tell you about. First of all, I want to thank you. I want to thank you, and I want to thank our team of volunteers. This morning I'm recognizing how many come together to just help to make this Sunday service happen, this Sunday celebration. So we're able to continue to bring you this live streaming. We've been social distancing, and our cameramen wear their masks, and our tech crew wears their masks, and they stay separate. But we're so grateful for each of you. You're here every Sunday. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. And thank you to those at home that continue to pour in your offerings and your love. It means so much to us. We're so grateful that we've been able to keep our doors virtually open. We've been able to continue to bring you this Sunday service, and it means so much. It means so much. And in many respects, we're even closer. We're even closer, though we're not coming together on Sundays, and we sure do miss having you in the seats, and we look forward to being able to do that again. I want to just give you a little glimpse of what's coming up in the fall. Our classes will be online this year in the fall, but for the very first time, 100%, Dr. Christian's Foundations class will be virtual. So for those of you that are living in New York and Texas, and I know we have a few followers from Europe, this is your opportunity to take Foundations with Dr. Christian. It'll be online. So that's not happening until September, but the registration will be up soon, so start looking for that. We also will be having Essential Earnest with Dr. Christina Tillotson. But another thing that we're getting ready to launch here is Seaside's online community. And we're thinking of ways how we can continue to stay connected because we miss each other, you know? And we've come up with an idea, Seaside's online community. Let me see if I can get the tagline right. Play, connect, learn. Connect, play, learn, I think is how it goes. And it's going to be for fun and for free. It's going to be a bunch of offerings of absolutely just fun things that you can do for a love offering only. But what we're looking for is we're looking for some Seaside people that have some talents that they'd like to offer. It'll all be on Zoom, and we have a few lined up. We have a cooking thing lined up and some Tibetan bowls and some things like that you can do. But we're looking for anybody who has some talent. Say, hey, I got a fun thing I can do on Zoom. Email me. I'd love to hear about you, revdebbie@seasidecenter.org. So REVDEBBIE at seasidecenter.org. We'd love to hear from you as we're launching this way to stay connected. Well, as Dr. Christian said, we're continuing our life lessons from the movie series as we go into August, which it's unbelievable that it's August, but here we are. And today, Dr. Christian's message is from The Greatest Showman. Fabulous movie. And I've chose to read today from the book, Be Yourself. Everyone else is already taken. I love this little book. It's simple, but it speaks a lot. And the last principle it talks about in the book is celebrate who you are. So I'm going to read a little bit from there. And it goes like this. There's a quote from the Buddha. You yourself, as much as anybody in the entire universe, deserves your love and affection. To be our authentic selves is essentially that we celebrate all of who we are by making peace with and appreciating ourselves completely. Because we spend much of our time and energy focused on what we think is wrong with us. Celebrating ourselves doesn't come easy to most of us. We are each unique. There is and only ever will be one of each of us. And while we know this and have been told this many times in our lives, sadly, we either forget, choose not to pay attention, or didn't believe them in the first place. We end up spending most of our lives trying to be like others, wishing we were some way that we were not or can't be, or devaluing ourselves in a way that doesn't honor or acknowledge our uniqueness. When we honor ourselves, we appreciate and celebrate who we are in an authentic way. Honoring ourselves means that we respect and take care of ourselves. Owning our greatness. Buckminster Fuller said, I am convinced all of humanity is born with more gifts than we know. Most of us are born geniuses and just get de-geniused rapidly. We often sell out on our own greatness, giving in to our fears, doubts, and insecurities, or simply letting our gremlins take over and convince us that we can't. Owning our greatness is not about competing with people or comparing ourselves to others. It has nothing to do with anyone else. It has everything to do with who we are. The natural talents we have and our ability to allow our own light to shine. This is one of the greatest and most important challenges of our lives. We spend and waste so much time worrying about what other people think, trying to fit in or hoping we don't mess things up. And in the process, we miss out on who we really are, why we're really here, and the brilliance and beauty within us. Own your greatness. And so it is.
Yes, that's awesome. That's a good reminder for everybody. We are unique in our own way. Be that, embrace that. Good morning, Seaside. It is my honor on Sunday mornings to introduce our guest artist. I did want to say I took Reverend Christian's Foundations class, and it was phenomenal. So I'm second, backing up exactly what you said. So take the class. It's fantastic. But again, it's my honor to introduce our guest artist, and we're so grateful. She came all the way down here to be with us from Los Angeles area. She's a phenomenal singer and just a wonderful spirit. And, I reached out to her earlier this week to see about, hey, let's, messages about Greatest Showman. And so we picked a couple songs, and she's like, you have to do this one with me. So I get to sing this one with her, and I'm so super grateful about that. But, it's funny, with not funny, haha, like, but funny, strange, with everything going on with COVID, a lot of us artists are limited on the types of things we do. So we have to be creative or just get into something we haven't done in a while or whatever the case may be. But it's really fascinating. I wanted to share that Margaret's been going back to school studying illustration. Is that right? Animation, I'm sorry, animation. I had that in my head and then I changed it. Going back to school for animation, which I think is so phenomenal. So kudos to you for expanding and just keeping it grow and pushing on that side, that other part of you. So she's a creative being, and we're just so honored for her to be here. Please welcome Margaret Owens.
Shade of gray, like a zombie in a maze. You're asleep inside, but you can't shake away. Cause you're just a dead man walking, thinking that's your only option. But you can flip a switch and brighten up your darkest day. Sun is up and the colors blinding. Take the world and redefine it. Leave behind your arrow mind, you'll never be the same. Come alive, come alive. You believe that lie, that you need to hide your face, afraid to step outside. So you lock the door, but don't you stay that way. No one living in the shadows, you and me, we know how that goes. And once you see it, oh, you'll never, ever be the same. A little bit of lightning flashing, bottled up to keep on shining. You can prove there's more to you. You cannot be afraid. Come alive, come alive. Go and light your light. Let it shine so bright, reaching up to the sky. And it's open wide. You're electrified, and the world becomes a fantasy, and you're more than you could ever be. 'Cause you're dreaming with your eyes wide open. And we know we can't go back again to the world that we were living in. 'Cause we're dreaming with our eyes
and the crowd goes wild. Oh, that is fun. Dreaming with your eyes wide open. That is, woo, that's it. And in they came, this new expression of life, and the crowd did go wild. That is just fabulous. That's amazing. Just this week, I asked Rebecca, hey, think you and Margaret could get some songs from this show? And how you learn that, and the music sounds like the show, it just makes me smile and grin. We were just standing up there and dancing to that. It is, it's just so good, so good. And that's what this show did. The Greatest Showman, it started off pretty high budget. It was budgeted $84 million to make this show. And they were hoping they could bring in maybe $110 million. 884, yeah, it was $84 million budgeted, hoping to bring in $110 million. If you ever hit $100 million, that's big success, party time. And they launched the show, and it came out, and it was a poor weekend. It was not even in the top few of the best shows. And that's not a good thing for a blockbusters when you don't have a good opening weekend. And then the critics put it down as well. But what was interesting is the people liked it. They started talking about this show, how good they felt inside. I mean, that was Barnum's thing. He was noted as saying, what the most noble act is to be able to make others happy. And people were happy by the show. They came out smiling and singing and talking about it. I remember at my staff meeting, they were talking about the show, and all of a sudden it began to pick up momentum. And if a show makes it a few weeks, that's good. If a film makes it a month, 2 months, next thing you know, this movie was rolling months and months into the season. It goes on to take the best picture of the year and brings in over $435 million. And it's just one of those phenomenal success stories that didn't start like that, but there was a sense of belief, a sense of knowing, of being able to dream with your eyes wide open when your world becomes a fantasy. And the start of this movie is, I love it. But maybe to set it up, I'll share with you a story that I wrote about in my book, Living from the Mountaintop. And it was when I was 19. It was the late 70s. I didn't want to go back to college because I didn't really find my groove there at that point. And so I took off to New Zealand, never to return, which moms don't like to hear from their teenage kids. But that was my story, and I was sticking to it. And I was traveling around New Zealand on my own, by myself, a lot of solitude for a month. I was staying at the youth hostel at Mount Cook, and the storms were just pouncing this, I don't know, it wasn't a chalet, it was more like a shack in the middle of the storms, waiting for them to clear off the Tasman Glacier so I could go skiing. And I went outside one day, and I was sitting under this rock cropping. I still remember the spot and the wind. And I was meditating, and something happened. All of a sudden, as if I was transported into the future. And I saw a Christian 30 years from then, standing on a stage in front of the lights, leading a spiritual community, delivering a message of healing and transformation to a full house as well as those beyond the walls. And it was like, wow, look at that possibility. And I can remember the older Christian said, you get here, just follow your joy, kiddo. Just follow your joy. And it was like a real moment that was inside of me in a deep kind of way. And I found my path. I came back, and I knew what I needed to do was find that which brought me joy, would help bring others happiness. And that I discovered that when you follow your path, you found your home. Well, that's a good one. You write that down. My path is my home. And when I'm on that path, I'm at home, I'm comfortable, and I'm secure. And the story doesn't end there. And so 30 years later, we move into this place. And I step out onto the stage, and I'm speaking, and the lights begin to fade before me. And all of a sudden, I'm looking out, and there is that 19-year-old kid sitting underneath a rock, looking at me and asking me the question. And I'm sharing, and then the kid shares with me. And don't lose that joy now. And I don't know, am I the kid looking at the older guy, or am I the older guy looking at the kid, or am I the kid looking at the older guy who's looking at the kid? And all of a sudden, is it all one moment? It is all one time and space. It all dissolved, and I still don't know which one came first. Me or the kid or what? And so the movie starts. It is amazing. And I'll read this because I'm not quite as prolific as these women in their lyric memorization in the music, but I like this because Hugh Jackman, the movie starts, the credits, and then they've got this beat, the crowd is stamping their feet to this beat, and there's Jackman with his hat, P.T. Barnum, Phineas Taylor Barnum sitting there with his hat. And he said he really liked this character because he's flawed. You know, he wasn't always honest. He had enemies. He broke conventional rules and things. He took risks. He said he taught him about taking risks and following your gut. He said it's more fun to play flawed people than those that are just perfect. So anyway, I diverged. So anyway, here it is. It's starting. The beat is going. And Jackman just talks out these opening lines. He says, "Ladies and gents, this is the moment you've been waiting for. You've been searching in the dark and you sweating and soaking through the floor. Oh yeah, you're bearing in your bones and there's an ache that you can't ignore. Taking your breath, stealing your mind, and all that is real is left behind. Don't fight it. If it's coming for you, it's running at you. It's the only this moment. You don't care what comes after. Your fever dream, can't you see it getting closer? Just surrender because you're feeling the feeling taking over. It's the fire, it's the freedom, it's a flood and open, it's a preacher in the pulpit, it's your blind devotion. There's something breaking at the brick of every wall. It's holding all that you know. So tell me, do you want to go? Oh, this is the greatest show. It's everything you ever wanted. It's everything you ever need. It's right here in front of you. This is where you want to be. And with that, they all run out into the arena. The place goes wild. It comes alive. It is dynamic. It is exciting. He's singing. The acts are performing. And he said, it's all before you. It's all you'll ever need. And it begins to fade. And it fades like the old guy talking to the kid. But now it's the kid looking at the old guy. Here's Phineas, age 10. Torn shoes, late 1800s, impoverished and poor. Is the kid who was visualizing the possibility of what it could be, following his dad to the tailor to a mansioned house. Dad was measuring Mr. Hollett for a suit, and he had a girl about Phineas's age, 10, and she was learning refined skills of drinking tea, and it was just making Phineas kind of smile. So he kind of mocked her and made a joke of it, and she just cracked up and spit out her tea laughing, and her dad, who was getting the suit, got very upset. Young lady, come here. You know better than to laugh in public like that. And as she was coming over, Phineas stood up to the man and said, I'm sorry, sir. It's my fault. I made her laugh. And he came close to Phineas and said, I'm glad you're honest. But I whacked him on the side of the head and said, you leave my daughter alone and don't you ever see her again. Any 10-year-old, that's like an invitation. Don't ever see her again? Oh, yeah, let me show you. And so was the beginning of his relationship with Charity. They met out on the beach at 10. They went into an abandoned mansion on the block, and they had candles, and they started having the dreams, a million dreams of what is possible, a million dreams of what it could be. Tomorrow starts today in this moment. As they began to dream, you watched his life unfold. His dad shortly died after that time, and he took his top hat, the ringmaster, but he was starving. He was a kid with no parents on the street. He was starving one day. He had just been hit and beat for trying to steal bread so he could eat. And this one young lady, disfigured or differently figured, hood over, all you could see was her face in unique shape and form. And she gave him an apple to feed him. It was like in that moment. It didn't matter the form. What came forth was the kindness, was the caring, was being noticed. And he took that into his life, and his childhood history progresses. You come back to him going to the house, now a full man wearing his dad's top hat to go pick up Charity. And Mr. Hollett answers the door and says, you may take her now, but you will never be able to provide for her. She'll be coming back. And with that, they walk off and they start singing A Million Dreams again. And they move into their apartment and they have their kids and they're dancing on the roof. And Phineas comes home from work one day, had just been fired. But it was his kid's birthday. And he brought out the same dream-creating machine that he showed their mom when she was 10, a candle, and they asked everybody to make their dreams. And then he dreamed, or Charity really dreamed, about them being happy like this forever. And so Barnum used that moment to realize that when things don't go as you had planned, it's time to make new plans. Like, what a concept. If it didn't go how you had planned, like he was planning, to buy her a mansion, to live in a nice place, and now he just got fired and he's not working. If things aren't moving the direction that you want, then what you need to do is change your plans. And so he conjured up an idea that people like looking at. Didn't know what, he tried to figure out what people wanted to see, to look at what he could come up with, and he came up with this idea of creating a museum with oddities. Barnum's Museum of Oddities is what they called it. And he put up these wax figures, thought this was unique. Follow your gut. Be willing to be different. He put it out there, and no one showed up. And he had borrowed all this money from the bank. And he was lying in bed at night with his daughters, putting them to bed. And the youngest one said, "Hey, Daddy, you got too many dead things in your museum. You need some life. You need something sensational." He says, "That's a big word." "Well, you taught it to me, Dad." "You need something like unicorns or mermaids." And he thought, sweet, and he tucked him into bed. And he was sitting up late that night trying, what can I do? What can I do? And he saw her book, Tom Thumb, sitting next to an apple, which triggered a subjective memory from his childhood of a unique woman giving him this apple. You ever have any things that happened in the past that you didn't know what for, but later in life became a catapult, a launching pad to something greater? Apple triggered Tom Thumb, which made him remember this dwarf in town, and he went to talk to Charles Stratton. The kid wasn't a kid, he was 22, about so high. And he said, "Hey, you want to come join my show?" And he said, "Why? So people can laugh at me?" And Barnum said, "Hey, kid, they're laughing at you anyways. You might as well be paid for it." To which he was just crushed. So he went in his room and said, "Forget it." And what Barnum learned in that moment is this kid has heart. You don't just make jokes. And he saw like a soldier, and he said, "Hey, Charles, you could wear a soldier's coat with gold embroidery. You could ride in on the horse and start the show and fire the guns." And the kid came out, and that was his first. They put signs around town looking for unique individuals, and they had a long line of individuals. They had the albino show up. They had an 8-foot man show up. They went and found the bearded lady Letty, who came to be part of it. They found the obese person, and they went ahead and they started this show, Come Alive. That song you just heard singing, when your world becomes a fantasy and you realize you are more than who you ever thought you could be. You come alive. You come alive. And how else does it go? and on it goes. You can never go back to it again, to your home of where you had been. Come alive, come alive, come inside. That was it. Dream with your eyes wide open. That was the one. You dream with your eyes wide open. When your world becomes a fantasy, it's because you dream with your eyes wide open. And so that's what he did. And all of a sudden, it became, people just loved it. The critics, though, the stuffy James Gordon Bennett, just shot it down. He just called that museum Phineas Park, that's it. P.T. Barnum's Circus. That was what he called it. He called it a circus instead of a museum. P.T. Barnum's Circus. And he said, I like that. And that's the thing. You begin to embrace what is going on and realize that others may mean it for an insult, but Spirit meant it for good. All of a sudden, Barnum went around and looked at people and said, you've got to learn to accept yourself for who you are. You've got to embrace your uniqueness, because people are trying to put you in cages because you look different or that you are different. You've got to come to recognize your difference is what makes you special. Your difference and your uniqueness is what makes you a gift for the world. Ernest Holmes, the founder of religious science, said, God put its stamp of individuality upon itself and called it you. And so the circus exploded. Success was happening. But Phineas wasn't fully satisfied because the high society wasn't engaging. There were protests outside because of the unique individuals, the differences, the oddities, and so it became good press. And he heard of a guy who came from the Carlisle family. The Carlyles, this guy's Philip Carlyle, the son of the Carlyles in England, a playwright, director, producer. And he was over here, and Barnum said, hey, let's talk. And they got together, a great bar scene in the show. The choreographer of the whole show put together this bar scene, and he's in it, and the cup's just moving to the bass, and you got the boom with their little shot glasses and throwing bottles through the air backwards 6 feet without looking, and chairs that come sliding in that they come up onto the bar and dance. And it's a magical number. And he says, you got to come over to the other side. And Carlisle says, I can't come over to the other side. It's an intriguing offer, but I would lose my position. I would lose my inheritance. I would lose my reputation. And they banter back and forth, and Carlisle and him finally come to the deal. I want a percentage to join you. And he says, I'll give you 7%. Carlisle says, I want 18. No, 8, 12. And they agree on 10. He said, okay, partners. And Barnum says, no, overpaid apprentice. Boom, and let's go. But at the end of the song, they walk into their stage. And here is the trapeze artist, Anna, one of the unique expressions of life, swinging across. And it's one of those magical moments where the timing of the trapeze, as he steps out, she comes swinging up like backwards, and she's upside down, face to face with Philip Carlyle. And you could tell it was a love moment, though a forbidden love, because it's the wrong class, wrong society. Well, as their success began to literally explode, Barnum was able to buy that mansion that he and his wife Charity dreamed about when they were 10 years old. The places were filled. The Queen of England asked them to come visit. And this was a moment that we all get to. It's called a defining moment. When his troupe of performers said, does that mean all of us, Barnum, get to go? Or just you? These are unique characters, right? You got a 750-pound man. You got an 8-foot giant. And he said, tell the Queen, it's either all of us or none of us. And he took a stand. And they went and they visited the Queen, and it was a great moment. They were embraced. They were accepted. And there, Barnum met the voice of Europe, Jenny Lind. An angel, an opera singer. And he was just caught up with her and said, come back to America. I want to make you famous in America. And she said, why would you want to do that? He said, well, people come to me to be hoodwinked, and just for once, I want to give them something real. You see, he's getting enticed into high society because of the perception that is there. They come back. And he puts on the show at a fancy place. The elite are there. Philip's parents, the Carlyles, are there. Charity's mom and dad, who lived in this mansion, who hasn't seen them since their kids were born, were there. The snooty critic was there. And she stepped out onto the stage, and she began to sing the song of Not Enough. Not enough. And it's moving, it's heartfelt, and Philip Carlyle standing next to Anne, the trapeze. You can see their hands kind of, making their moves in the 1800 style, and they're holding tight. And then he notices his mom and dad looking at him in disgust, and he drops her hand, to which she's crushed. She leaves. And it's such a statement of class, society, of difference, of non-acceptance. Ginny said to them, there was this after party, and met the Carlyles. And she said, those that were born into wealth and privilege will never understand. and one will never understand what they understand. And he said, but a man's imagination is his only limitation to his station. And they're bantering back and forth, and you recognize that there is a difference in the room. You come to realize Jenny was born as an orphan. But it brings up what's going on in our day and age with the racism that is going on, that is coming to the forefront, where a lot of people would just prefer not to have to deal with it. If you don't acknowledge there's a problem, then you don't have to deal with it. But what is coming to the realization is there is an issue there, and if we were to deal with racism with as much effort and attention as we put into COVID, we could actually maybe make a difference with it. But I would bet COVID's going to be gone before racism, which is a sad statement. But if we were just to take it like COVID and say, okay, everybody's got it, just assume that, there's some privilege or something that is going on, and you learn from those who have some knowledge on what you can best do about this, and you do your best to keep it from getting a stronghold in society and going out there into the community. Then we can begin to make a difference with what is there. But we have got to be willing to step forward and to make a difference. And someone would say, but racism isn't everywhere. Well, let's talk about it. See if you are uncomfortable. See if you would prefer just not to acknowledge that there is an issue. Just let's say, it is. And we say it is, and I'm wrong about that. But I go ahead and I treat everybody with respect. I let others take the first shot, and I take the second shot. If they're not in the mix or the game, I make sure that they get in there. At the end of the life, I'm wrong. Well, not so bad. But if the other guy acted as if it wasn't an issue, and he got to the end of his life and he realized that he had his, foot on the back of somebody's neck his whole life, I think my bad might be a little better than his. I have people out of the religious Christian beliefs, hey, what would Jesus do? Kind of saying, what would Jesus do? Well, you can see what he did. You can find the statements written that what he did is he angered the higher up of the religious class. Because why? He hung out with the wrong people. He went to the wrong parties. He got people angry because he spoke to women, heaven forbid. You can see where he spent his time is with people that were hurting. And that is what we have got to be willing to do, is to step into that place and say, you know what? We've got to learn to embrace everyone, and it begins with embracing ourselves. Barnum, his issue was self-worth. He didn't feel that he fit into that higher class, and so what happened is he was always yearning with it. What he did is he took a look at those individuals and helped bring those unique expressions out of the shadows and say, celebrate yourself, celebrate humanity showing up and expressing in your life. And so here he is at this after party that he's throwing. And his troop, who was in the audience watching what was going on, because you remember the little move with Anna and Philip, well, they come to the door of the after party, and the word goes, hey, your circus troops here. What do we do? And he goes to the door, and he says, nah, guys can't come in. He said, why? Why can't we come in? We're all family. He said, just not this time. This one's not going to work. And he closes the door on them. Could you imagine how much that would hurt? That's like your dad or your mom saying, you're not worthy here. There's the greatest song in the show. At least this is what Hugh Jackman said. His favorite song from the show. Let's run this. Hey, this is me. Can you embrace it? Can you accept it? So you saw the pink-haired trapeze girl looking up at Zac Efron, Philip Carlisle, and the next scene was them making amends on a rope scene that was hot and heavy, but the song was, you can't help but to know how I feel, but it's just not meant to be. The song was, rewrite the stars. But he surprised her by taking her to the theater, and they're walking up the stairs of a nice place, holding hands. And she says, I've never been to the theater before. He says, heart is moved. And who's coming down the stairs but his mom and dad? And his dad looks at him and said, son, have you no shame to be associating with Barnum, but now out parading around with the help? He was just devastated. And it was in that moment, see, we get these defining moments, and sometimes you have an opportunity to make a stand again. Maybe you blew it at the front end, letting go of that hand. Sometimes when we want to say something and we keep our mouths shut, we are given an opportunity to take a stand at the next level. And he stood up to his parents. He went out, and he talked to her and apologized to her. And she said, my parents are just small-minded people. And her line was, it's not how your parents looked at me. It's the way everybody looks at me. When you're privileged, you sometimes don't get how others are feeling, having to wake up with their unique expression and walk in the world, just being different, which is beautiful. It's what gives us something special. But here's Barnum now having a taste of the high life, and he's decided he's going to take Jenny on tour around the United States, let his circus make it without him, let Zach try to take it to that next level. And so he sets off. He has to hawk or at least mortgage or put the house up for collateral, the circus up for collateral. It's going to take 40 full houses across America to pay off the debt, to make Jenny Lind this famous person. And they go out, and he just falls in love with the crowds and the admiration and the flowers and the high society. And Jenny Lind falls in love with him. We got a little problem now, because Barnum's married to Charity. And there's a moment in a hotel before the show, the presidential suite. They're drinking champagne, and she says that what you're looking for and what you want and what you need is right before you. You just need to take it. And then it hit him. What he wants and what he needs. It's not this. It's what that little 10-year-old Barnum saw. It was that time with his wife. His wife told him, you know, that the New York society is never going to accept us unless they stop judging and actually go out and do something with their life or get involved with life. And he's in this moment and realizing that this isn't it. And he says that it's time to wrap up the show. And she's crushed. And she says, how you treat people is what comes back and gets you. It's how life treats you. It sounds like Ernest Holmes. She was talking back in the 1800s. You know, how you treat other people is what comes back to you. And so the last show, he comes out to take to be acknowledged for being the producer of the show. And she takes his head in his hands and gives him a kiss on the lips that is just scandalous. All the press is there taking pictures, and boom, it goes to be the talk of society. She quits, leaves him in debt. He goes home, and as he gets off the train at home, he hears that the circus is on fire, that the protesters outside actually threw a lantern in, and the place is burning, and he gets there, and the animals are running out, and the people are running out, and Anne, the trapeze lady, can't be found, and Philip's looking and can't find him. He runs into the burning building that's being engulfed by flames, and he doesn't come out. And there's Barnum. What do you do? And he takes off his coat and he runs into the burning building to save Philip, because Anna already came out. And as he's in there, the 2-3-story building just collapses on itself. His girls are crying, "Daddy is dead, Daddy's dead." And out of the flames comes Barnum carrying Philip. The circus is gone. It's over. He's sitting on the curb the next day with a critic. They're sharing a flask of something. And the critic tells him, you know, Barnum, I never did like your show. But the people did. I think they liked it a lot. The way you brought people of all shapes and sizes and colors onto the stage. Another critic may have called it a celebration of humanity. I hope you come back. It stirs his heart. People are saying, come back. He goes to the bank. He can't get the loans. He sits down in the bar and has a drink. And in comes the troupe. And he says, come to get your pay. I don't have it. And Letty, the bearded woman, says, oh, shut up, Barnum. You never did get it, did you? You know our mothers were ashamed of us. They kept us in the dark. But you brought us out of the shadows. You helped us create a real family and a real home. And we want that again. They're dancing, doing their thing, and they're talking about how, trying to save the place, but no banks will lend them any money. And in comes Philip, and Philip is listening to them, trying to figure out how they can rebuild. And one of them says, "Why won't the banks lend you the money? You bring people joy." He says, "Try taking joy to the banks." And Philip Carlyle says, "I'll take joy as collateral." And Barnum says, "But how do you have any money? You've been disinherited, disowned, reputation ruined." He said, "Well, I took that 10% that you had given me, and I've kind of been socking it away and doing some investment. And now I want to invest in this circus." And he says, "Well, my goodness, I don't know if we can do that." He says, "You got to do it." And he said, "We'll be partners, 50-50, 50-50 it is. It's a handshake." And partners they are. And all of a sudden they start redoing that song about, coming alive. And but he says, "But we don't have enough money to buy another building." Where Barnum, remember, said, "Think outside the box. Think beyond the problem. Think beyond." How often have you been caught up in the cage of thinking by the previous perception when there is an answer outside? And it hit him. We don't need a building. The land down by the docks is cheap. Oh, we need our tents. And there they revise The Greatest Show, and all the acts are in the ring, and there's the greatest showman with his top hat on, and they're singing The Greatest Show, and all of a sudden you get this fade how the whole show began. Here is when Jackman was singing. It was from this moment that he was singing to the kid, or the kid was thinking into the future of what was going on in this moment. And he takes his top hat, he rolls it down his hand, and it rolls into one of the characters. It gets passed on to another one of the troops, and on to the next one, on to the next one, and it ends up in the bearded lady Letty's hand, and she hands it over to Zach. And Zach has just been given the hat to be the ringmaster, and he puts it on his head. He finishes off the finale, and he pulls his pink-haired trapeze girl Anna over and gives her a big kiss in front of the world. It mattered no longer what society felt or thought. He was willing to take a stand for, "This is who I am, this is what I love, and this is who I'm going to be in the world." And Barnum is running off to meet his wife and kids who are standing on the stairs of a theater in downtown high society. And you know he's going to pull up in the fancy limo carriage of the day and the finest wheels around. And he comes in riding on an elephant. And his girls are so excited. "Hey, there's Dad. Hey, there's Dad." And he comes for the world to see, "This is who I am. I have accepted who I am. This is what I am in life." And he goes, and the last shot of the movie is him sitting in a theater with his arm around Charity, his wife, watching their two girls up on the stage. One, the star ballerina, the other, a tree. And the last words that come forth is, "What you need and what you want to be is right in front of you. Just go ahead and take it." God bless us as we take that dream that we've been given. I love you. Hey, let's bring back to the stage the wonderful Margaret Owens, who drove down from LA to deliver these songs that she learned specifically for today.
Close my eyes and I can see a world that's waiting up for me, that I call my own. Through the dark, through the door, through where no one's been before, but it feels like home. They can say that it's
calling us to do. They can say it all sounds crazy. They can say I've lost my mind. I don't care, call me crazy. Let's escape to the world that we design. 'Cause every night I lie in bed, the brightest colors fill my head. A million dreams are keeping me awake. Think of what the world could be, vision of the one I see. A million dreams is all it's gonna take. Said a million dreams for the world we're gonna make. However big, however small, just be a part of it all. Share your dreams with me. There is no right, there is no wrong. I welcome you to come along to the world I see, to the world I close my eyes to see. I close my eyes to see. 'Cause every night I lie in bed, the brightest colors fill my head. A million dreams are keeping me awake. I think of what the world could be, vision of the one I see. A million dreams is all it's gonna take. A million dreams for the world we're gonna make. Million dreams for the world we're gonna make.
Margaret, that is so beautiful. Oh my goodness. That is the first time anyone has sung that song here at Seaside, and that is such a message. The million dreams it's going to take. What a message from Barnum. My goodness. Flawed lives are just more interesting. And, you got to be willing to stumble, follow your gut, to take the risk, to accept, to be inclusive. And be willing to just make that bold statement with that kiss right up in an elephant, if that's who you are. Who you are is God expressing. You are the activity God is having. I can feel another sermon coming on. I better stop right here. Hey, this is the time of our service where we have the opportunity to share our gift. We get to support Spirit showing up as this message and the style in which this message is coming out into the world. And what Barnum showed us, not everybody, may groove with the style that he had to offer, but you know what? It is making a lot of people happy, and it's making a lot of difference. In this message, the way it comes out of Seaside is Seaside's unique way. And if it makes you happy and it makes you smile, it's a noble action to pass that on, and your gift helps make that possible. So I thank you from the fullness of my heart, from your generosity. It just keeps coming in, and we're touching more people than ever because of your support. So I thank you from the fullness of my heart. I thank you for the contributions. And those that are part of the auto tithe, those who during last fall, we do our annual prosperity program, people said, you know what? You can count me in for this upcoming year, 2020. I don't know what it entails, but I do know that I'm supporting Spirit coming out of this holy ground, this vortex to the world. It's going to make a difference in my life and others, so I'm supporting it. And we had 167 families and individuals say, you know what, count me in through 2020. And they give this auto tithe every week or month or quarter, however it got set up. And it is making a profound difference in our ability to move forward during this time with an ease and a grace. And what everybody is mailing in is fabulous. With letters, thank you. And you push the button that comes up on the screen as soon as I'm done talking. It says Vivimo and donate now. And what does it say? Venmo, Vivimo, or whatever that is the platform we're thinking of live streaming on. Venmo. Yeah, see, I don't even, you got to change with the times, Christian. Anyway, those around me do. They just keep pointing me in the right direction. Anyway, I love you guys. Thank you. I'm going to share this prayer and we'll do our affirmation of abundance. It's with a full heart that I just dance with a joy. I don't sing, but I express with a freedom and an exuberance because it is the life of the God that gets me excited. It allows me to be filled with joy and happiness. And this is my desire to share with you, with the world, with those around. It is making a difference. There is an ability to recognize this joyous expression of God that moves through all people in all places. And so with joy, I give to support this message of acceptance and self-worth and love and inclusivity and the realization that God is omnipresent everywhere. So right where I am, God is. Whether it is a place of a challenge and a confusion, God is. Whether it is in a place that is an altitude and a peak so high, God is, because God is omnipresent. It is in and through all things, all people, all places. It is not more or less anywhere. It is the awareness that I bring to the recognition that God is. And so with joy, I support this message of the infinite expression becoming more consciously aware in this human awareness. And so I support Spirit's expression in this moment. I give from a fullness of heart with love and joy because it feels good, not because I'm looking for anything back, but as Ernest was talking about, or how you treat, it's what comes back into our life. With joy I give, and with joy I become the recipient of ever-expanding good that shows up in the perfect and relevant ways. Thank you, Father, Mother, God, for my ever-expanding, stretching, growing that I am experiencing now. And so it is. Amen. And together, let us say this affirmation of abundance, which is, Spirit continues to bless my world. Gratefully I live as the giving expression of Spirit, opening the floodgates of the affluent flow of greater good as my life now. Those are the guys from Seaside, safely distancing. Bob Mathis blowing that saxophone. Harley there in the back corner on that bass fiddle. That is Paul behind the screen and a mask. They all came. And that is Max on the Paul Lloyd Warner Busendorfer. Great job. Speaking of great jobs, Margaret, just fabulous. I love you. You're just, thanks for coming on down. And Rebecca, always a joy. And thank you for helping orchestrate the music today. And we got an amazing tech team here today. We got 3 camera folks. We got 3, doing the editing and the switching. We've got Matthew in the sound booth. It is, everybody keeping safe, but I want you to recognize it takes a lot to move this forward out there into the world in the Seaside's unique way. People are saying, hey, why don't you just send in a recording and have a musician? That's not Seaside. That's not how we do it. We are live, we are real, we're in the moment, and there's a consciousness going on that gets captured and can be experienced later, but you have the opportunity to have the real thing. So I encourage you to tell your friends and your family to tune in because we're growing, because you are doing it. It's wonderful to experience. So, hey, when I'm done carrying on here, you know what? We got practitioners who want to pray with you. You get live chat prayer. You just go to the Zoom link on our website, seasidecenter.org, or you just zoom in and put the password Ernest in, and there's a practitioner who's waiting to pray with you. So I'm going to start praying and let it keep unfolding. And as Debbie said, if you got a playful kind of offering, a one-day Saturday for a couple hours, we're looking at connection through play and learning. We're trying to get some play going together for this summer online. Cooking, yoga, breath, just all sorts of different kinds of things. So, okay. As I touch down here, I can feel the joy. Noblest act is to make others happy. And that comes from being who we are. Not wishing we were somewhere else, but catching a dream, a vision of what is possible, and a million dreams we get to unfold in our life and in this world. It is all part of the path. The path is home. It is joy where I am. Doesn't mean there can't be a vision that pulls. But where I am is the omnipresent expression of the infinite, ever seeking to make its indelible imprint through you. For God took that stamp of individuality and put it upon itself and called it you. Feel what that means. I am spirit expressing. And I express through creativity. I express through love. Those who love God couldn't hate anybody because God is love. Spirit is expressing through you. What does that mean to be the creative expression of the divine, to step forth into this world, to bring forth your uniqueness, not being caged in by other people's perceptions, but the realization of the divine vibration of being that is right here in this moment. Feel and sense and know that that vibration just neutralizes and eliminates anything unlike the divine vibration. For there is a movement, a flow, the activity of all good. And the body experiences the wholeness. Not because I need to tell the body to get to the perfect weight or to fix back or this organ or that ache or that pain, but rather the movement, the activity, and the flow of spirit through my creative expression purges out anything that is not part of the totality of wholeness. And I move with an ease and a grace in this physical vehicle that is appropriate for the vibration of this world. This body is the temple of God. It knows how to heal. Spirit can move mountains, guide galaxies, and knows what to do with our body as well as our life. So I get my littleness out of the way. I get my small-mindedness out of the way. I allow myself to begin to recognize who I truly am and allow my self-worth to expand. I come to recognize that which I am, not the narcissistic people look at me, not I want to do that because of perception, because this is who I am this time around in this world, and I bring forth who I am with a sense of joy. I will kiss that trapeze artist if that is my love expression. I will ride an elephant to the fanciest of society if that is who I am. I step forth proud of who I am. Glorious, this is me. This is me. God expressing. How much more wonderful could that be? Feel that abundant flow of life. Feel that affluent expression of spirit moving and grooving through you. This is what I bring to my relationships as my authentic self. I bring a love, a vulnerability, a respect for self and others. I allow myself to be fully present in the moment to the infinite expression of the divine. And my life is wonderful. The path I am is my home. It's right. It's timeless. The young one sees the destination sees the beginning. It is all woven into one. There is no time or space in the infinite. And so in this healing vibration, I know every prayer request that has been brought forth to our community is now fulfilled. For Steve Grant, wonderful Sunday editor here, his uncle, dealing with physical issues that may look like he's transitioning. I know that right where he is, there is love, there is light, there is guidance, there is comfort, there is confidence, there is assurance, there is a trust in life. And Steve is surrounded by love in this time. For any of the names that have been brought forward who have caught this COVID thing or that caught them or whatever it is, it becomes the teacher. It becomes a revealer for not only the host, but for those that are around, to learn and to grow, to expand. And healing takes place for all the prayer requests that have been brought forth, for those that have been touched by it. For those who underwent operations this week, the healing is swift, comfortable, and perfect, for the recovery is in divine timing. Spirit is naturally everywhere. And so I rest in this with a deep sense of peace and security, sense of well-being, that all is well. Not when this experience is over, all is well now. This path is home, got dynamics going on, but I follow that joy, that happiness. That is my compass, that is my call. I've caught the vision of the eternal now, of that which is calling me forward, loving where I am now. God is fully present. I'm thankful to know this, to feel this, to sense this, to be this. Not needing to direct the infinite, but I become directed by. And healing happens. Feel it. Accepting it. Embracing it. Saying yes to that stirring of your soul. I'm letting go to that. I trust that. I believe that. I follow that inner urging. It is the presence of God that moves here. And so I let go in this moment. I let it be. And so it is. Amen.
There was a time in my life I thought I had to do it all for myself. I didn't know the grace of God was sufficient. I didn't know the love of God was at hand.
But now I can say if you are discouraged, struggling just to make it through another day, you gotta let it go, let it all go. And
This is what you have to say. I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. Said no more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. Said I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. Said no more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. Seaside, wherever you are, I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. There's no more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God.
Hey, hey, woo! Hey, and our affirmation for the week is, I embrace my amazing qualities that life has given to me. Together, I embrace my amazing qualities that life has given me. Touch your heart and say it again. I embrace my amazing qualities that life has given me. One more time, like it is your truth. Together, I embrace my amazing qualities that life has given me. We love you. See you next Sunday.